AP, what's up, big guy?
9:20 Tuesday night.
We're we're relatively close to being on schedule.
Yes, sir. Retweet, like. Okay. Man, I feel like the U.S. Open hangover is the real this time, huh?
Yeah, it is a real thing, man. It's a grinded out top tournament. It's a grinded out top DFS week. So I think there is a little bit of that, but this is a good event. Good field. I always like the Travelers, and this feels really strong. Probably because so close to Brookline. So
Yep. All right.
I think it's a good week. Have some fun talking through it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get rolling here. Welcome in, everybody, to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. I'm Andrew Putters here with Joe Nicely from Rotoballer.com, lead golf editor up there, and my friend, colleague, fellow Knoxvillian. We're digging it out here in the 100-degree heat. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I know it was I had a great Father's Day. I did not watch one shot live of the U.S. Open. We just talked about that just a second ago. My horse was Morikawa, and a little set, two doubles and 5 holes, a little 77, and
he went out to pasture on Saturday.
Yeah, he did.
The horse went out to pasture,
and I actually had a little bit of a feeling waking up Saturday morning. I was like, this, they're going, when they have it's USJ. I feel like at this point is almost predictable, the last 2 rounds. And if they have let me get this back. First of all, the Country Club Brookline was a great venue. 6 unders, okay score. It doesn't bother me at all. But the standpoint of, what do people love about Augusta is no matter how it plays all week, they know there's going to be gettable stuff on Sunday. And I felt like Brookline or USJ used that same playbook for this. The course was pretty gettable Thursday, somewhat gettable Friday, impossible on Saturday. That's all there is to it. Full-blown impossible. The wind played a huge role in that, but they didn't. The setup did not give them any breaks. And then, I called it. I said Sunday's it's gonna be gettable Sunday. And I woke up a little bit. I said I can see a pretty good score. I said if he can get to 4 or 5 under, he has a chance. He shot 66, but just wasn't enough. The 77 was way too much. And
yeah, he kind of got blown out to sea there Saturday, man, and it just goes back to Morikawa in the wind. We've talked about it at length on this show, and I think it's even though the ball flight for him was a little bit different this past week, I think it's an issue for him. It's something we see repeatedly pop up. I think maybe the first 2 days was a little bit of smoke and mirrors, but he liked the toughness of him bouncing back on Sunday. Just left himself too far behind with that round Saturday.
Yeah. Other than the British Open, and maybe you can always look at weather. If you're going to see weather more than one day, it still fits this has got to be. We got to get Spencer on the put it in one of his rules, like his laws about golf and betting and gambling. It's still got to be major championship, 20 or 1 or over. You got to do it. Yeah. 28. He was 30. He went off at 30-1, 28-1, and honestly, we talked Saturday morning at length about it, didn't we?
We did,
and felt pretty good about it. Really, still.
Yeah, with the options, with where you were with Morikawa, I really liked where you were. With the equity you're going to give up to try to kind of hedge. And I don't know that in those conversations, Matt Fitzpatrick honestly came up when considering hedging. I think we talked about Scheffler, Rory, Willie Z. So, Rahm. Rahm. But yeah, man, to kind of, I guess we kind of buried the lead, and that's a great performance from Matt Fitzpatrick. One that I didn't know that he had that final round performance in him. I know it's been a great year. I know a lot of people were on him last week, but I didn't know that he had that kind of that gear to get through that final round Sunday the way he did. But hats off to him. as I mentioned before we started tonight, I'm getting a little bit worried about our boy Willie Z. As far as how many chances do you get, kind of in a small period of time, and not capitalize on one? I don't think we're to the point yet where it's like time to start worrying, but I really would like to see him get one, man. I think he's a phenomenal player. And I would really like to see him capitalize on this great run of form with the majors. So hopefully Willie Z can get there soon. But hats off to Fitz, man. He was a popular option, not one that I was as big on as most people due to the popularity. But it's one that a lot of people saw coming, it feels like. So a great performance from Fitzy there.
Yeah, he was ice cold all week. Honestly,
didn't make a lot of putts.
No, I was going to say, if he putted well on Sunday, he would have won by 4 or 5, 6 shots. Especially coming down that back nine. I mean, he was stiffing it there. 12, 18 feet. Yeah, Willie Z had a good look at it. In further golf news, we got more dilemma and drama and live, and I'm not tired of talking about it, not tired of hearing about it. I just don't know what's what and who's where. I guess there's kind of a Twitter war today, a little bit with who's going and who ain't. There's things have been thrown out there, but possibly it ain't true. I don't. Who announced? Is Brooks officially gone?
The big thing I learned today was that Colin Morikawa starts with milk and then goes cereal. I'm a cereal first guy and then milk.
Yep. Yeah.
And my wife is on the Morikawa train. She's a milk first, then cereal. So some serious issues. But we learned that Morikawa is a milk first guy, but he did say he's staying on the PGA Tour, AP. So hopefully we will not lose Colin Morikawa. Hopefully it looks like we are losing Brooks Koepka. I don't know that there's been some, major outlets reporting it as confirmed, but not seeing actually anything official from Brooks. Right now, man, he's still listed as in the Travelers Field. It's late Tuesday night, and there's not been a WD or any news on that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Will the PGA bar him from playing?
No,
if he doesn't,
I think until he puts a tee in the ground at Live, he's not terminated. That's my thought. That's my train of thought there. Even though you're announced, I don't. I mean, maybe that's why.
The all-time alpha move from Brooks here would be to play Travelers and win, and then go Live.
Well, maybe okay. So let's take this right here. Maybe that's why he didn't announce he'd plan on playing this week.
Maybe, man. The whole
Bryce officially announced.
Yeah, and I think we also Abraham Answer is also going. Pretty sure on that one as well. We talked about it over the weekend, man. There were a lot of names floating around that were going to be dropped kind of early this week. So Answer and Koepka, I mean, certainly too. Koepka's a 4-time major winner. You can argue how relevant he is throughout the regular season, and this just always seemed like a good fit for him, man. As little as he actually, it feels like he actually likes to play golf, which is not much, and really only cares about the majors. This just made a lot of sense, and from the injury kind of angle too, this just always made a lot of sense for him. Really more so than anybody. As far as big time players. So, but he seemed to be pretty steadfastly against it. Maybe the injury concerns changed his mind. Obviously, there's tons of money involved, I'm sure. So, but yeah, man, Brooks is gone. Hadn't really been relevant in majors even this year. So, I don't really know what the future holds for Brooks at this point. It's kind of feels like a really bright shining star that kind of shined really bright for a short period of time, and maybe the injuries are just going to do him, man.
Yeah. So my first thought was, when I looked at this field, is it because the tournament's still up in Connecticut that we've got this strong of a field? The Travelers has not historically carried a field like this as far back as I can ever remember. Number one. Number two, or is it something that the PGA is pushing them? Hey guys, we need you, if you can, play in this event. I wonder if that's a possibility. Who knows what's being said behind closed doors? I feel like probably somewhat of the latter.
Closed door meeting today, and apparently there were some pretty interesting things touched on from Jay Monahan. So it's probably a combination of what you mentioned, AP. It's probably a combination of the two. Being really close to Brookline and the U.S. Open, so all the guys were in town. The Travelers, by all accounts, takes really good care of the players. It's always a good tournament, solid turnout. So probably the combination of being there already, and I'd say there were probably some things that came down from the PGA Tour. And there was a meeting today with Commissioner Monahan being there at the Travelers. So kind of a lot of things coming together, I imagine, but a great field, man. Really always liked this tournament anyway. And with this field, from kind of turning our eyes to DFS, it's really exciting to get into it. Yeah,
I'll say before we get into this week and change the topic, I have to feel if you're probably like a 50 to 125 player on the PGA Tour year in, year out, this is really good for you long term. I mean, for a lot of things, points, maybe possibly team events in the future. This could be very good for you long term, or at least in the next 3 years or a couple of years, right? I mean, if you
there's
you got 20 top 50 players in the world leaving the PGA Tour. I mean, and we can name off a plethora of guys that fit in that range, right? I mean,
there's a kind of a big vacuum left there, right?
Yeah.
For guys to fill, and so yeah, I think you're right. I think some of these guys, these 50 to 100 guys in the world on the PGA Tour, are probably going to move up a lot. Probably going to make a lot more money. We know the PGA Tour is raising purses. We're hearing a lot about that today, going back to a calendar year schedule, playing some kind of limited field events in the fall as well as regular top events with big purses. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things changing. We'll talk about the schedule a little more when we have a better handle on it, maybe in the future, but definitely going to see some changes from the PGA Tour kind of in reaction to live. And it's, I hate to harp on it, man. It seems like I've said this the last several weeks, but in a way, I think this live thing and the threat it's become is a lot of the PGA Tour shooting itself in the foot, not being proactive to prevent this with what they do with their players and with their product and how the league is ran. I think they've left themselves open to this live thing to any rival, and it just turned out to be live. But at least they're going to try to react, maybe make some changes. So that's hopefully a positive moving forward.
Yeah, and if of course we can't predict what's going to happen. We don't know, can't predict with future suspensions, partnerships, whatever. We can't predict any of that. But as the way that the story is being told right now, the group of men that have left, say American only, is creating a pretty big void in team events in the future, in my opinion. I feel like we're probably going I know that the younger American fleet of young players is a lot stronger than it was a decade ago. I feel like we're going back a decade, where the American population talent pool was overall really deep, but top, not great up at top, and obviously the Ryder Cup suffered greatly in that time period. About lost the president a couple times. So, but it should be interesting. Like the group of like Overton and Nick Watney, that group right there, when they were kind of like on the way up, the PGA Tour was missing some superstars because Tiger was down, he was out. We didn't know who the superstars were going to be yet. Then we had DJ, then we had Brooks, then we had Patrick Reed, then we have Jordan Spieth, we have Bubba. We didn't know those guys existed yet, and so, but the talent pool in the youth in the college is pretty strong right now, and the up and comers, the Corn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour's done great, honestly, and the Canadian, the Latin American Tour. So I got no quarrels in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think the depth of talent, especially young talent, is better than it's ever been, and you could make the argument that that's one reason why some of these guys are leaving, man.
Yeah.
I think the window to be relevant, to be dominant, to pile up wins, I think that window's shorter maybe than ever, in comparison to in the past. Just because, I mean, got a Willie Zalatoris, guy, Davis Riley, guy we'll talk about this week, Colin Morikawa, Hovland. I mean, these guys are Sam Burns. These guys are 25 years old and younger. So you think that weighs on a Koepka's mind, on a DJ's mind, on a Patrick Reed's mind when making this decision.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, before we get into this week's Travelers Championship, go ahead and give us a little Rotoballer.com. Let's talk about it for a second.
Yeah, we always want to encourage you guys to check out Rotoballer.com. A lot of hard work goes into that content over there. A lot of great people in place on the staff. Spencer Aguiar, myself, Josh Bennett. We brought Rob Giltner and Byron Lindecue on this year. Shout out, by the way, to Byron, our buddy, the Model Maniac. Tested positive for COVID. So we wish you the best, Byron, and hope you have a speedy recovery, man. So rest up and get well, and look forward to talking to you soon. But yeah, we always encourage everyone to visit rotoballer.com. Great people over there. We feel like we offer some of the best tools in the PGA industry. So go visit Rotoballer. Use our promo code TURN, TURN. That'll get you 10% off up through the Tour Championship. It's a great deal right now. Go sign up and take you through the end of the year.
Rotoballer.com, best place in the world for your daily fantasy needs. Like I said, let's get on to the Travelers Championship this week. We've talked about Live Tour, we talked about US Open, talked about we touched a little bit about Father's Day. Travelers Championship coming up this week. We're at Cromwell, Connecticut, the TPC River Highlands. This tournament is 70 years old. It was established in 1952. Strangely enough, same year that Eddie Darts was born, 1952. Great year in American history.
Had the chance to talk to Eddie Darts a little bit Sunday, so yeah. I always love talking to Easy Ed. Had a chance to talk to him for a few minutes there Sunday.
Yeah, did you see him up at the club? I guess
saw him at the Brook. Yeah, I got to talk for a minute.
He was on a mission about a certain subject we'll talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
After we get off the air, getting to the bottom of it. So
yeah. Things will be squared away.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, 70th. This is the 70th year of this tournament. Great historic event, PGA Tour. I mean, just great champions have won here over the years. Had great fields up here over the years. Just to name a few here in the recent years. Obviously Bubba's won it 3 times. Last year was Harris English. DJ won it. This is where he blitzed the field, I believe. I know he only beat Strillon by 1. I feel like he played great that week though. 19 under. Stuart Sinks won here a couple times. Like I said, just great champions in this field, but it doesn't mean that a one win, or somebody has a few wins. You got Ken Duke won here in 13. Freddie Jacobson won here in 11. JJ Henry won in 06. So don't be surprised if a guy comes out of the woodwork here to win. Pete Dye course. 68.52, probably the shortest course on tour. We going with that?
So, one of right there. It's right there.
Yeah, right around. I'm trying to think. Sony Open might be a little short, but set par 70, 68.52. Like I said, Pete Dye is in 1982. Renovated in 1989 by Bobby Weed. New tee added to the 17th from last year. It was a cool spring up there, so the rough has just kind of woke up. Bent gas Pro-Ana everywhere. Kentucky Bluegrass Fescue, 4+ inches rough. This is going to be you've got to hit your drives where they're supposed to be hit, and you got to be a great on proximity. This is Pete Dye 101. at the TPC River Highlands, right, Joe?
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know that, a lot of weeks there's kind of one statistical category. It's kind of flashing neon, right? Something that we all want to kind of weigh heavily. I don't know that that's the case this week. Well-rounded games play really well here. We've seen, as you mentioned, kind of an eclectic group of winners over the last few years and throughout the life of this tournament. So anytime you're talking about a sub 7,000 yard golf course, man, the kind of the whole field's in play. Crazy things can happen. A guy gets hot with the putter, and things can go right for him. Kramer Hickok almost won this event last year. So anything's possible here. A lot of forced layups off tees. A lot of guys clubbing down off the tee. I'll be leaning heavily on strokes gained approach and proximity. That's what I'm always looking for on peak dive golf courses. At its heart, I feel like this is a second shot golf course. I'm looking for guys this isn't a birdie fest, but I am looking for guys that can rack up birdies, be giving a lot of weight to birdies or better gained. Kind of the average over the last 5 years, you're looking around 15, 16 under on average winning this thing. So not a pure birdie fest, but I think guys will need to score. And that's certainly what I'm going to target from a DFS perspective. So, yeah, man, no kind of secret weapons as far as statistical stuff this week. I'll just kind of be looking at, as I mentioned, guys that can go low, guys that maybe have some course history here and some recent form.
Yeah. So here at the TPC, I mean, you're going to see a guy maybe that let's just put if you hit a lot of greens and you get it going, you're still going to see, 15, 20, 15, 18 under wins. But, that's probably going to also be a guy that shoots a couple under, then shoots a real low number and then a couple under. So people can get it going on this course. And actually, it's one of the funner golf courses when they get it going. Right. I mean, to watch because
sure. Jim Furyk shot 58 on this course, man. So, I mean, it's definitely, as you mean, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. I mean, you could see guys go like, 68, 69, 61. Yeah. I mean, that's in the bag this week. So, yeah, man, that's a really good point.
So, yeah, showdown, you're going to be looking for heavy birdie makers, obviously. Mm-hmm. I know you normally do, but probably more this week. Let's get in the slate.
A little bit different than last week.
touch. Let's get in the slate. So, like we talked about, heavy talent pool this week. So, this is probably one of the stronger fields we've seen all year, to be honest with you. So we're going to 10K and above. Xander, Cantlay, Burns, Thomas, Rory, Scheffler. I definitely think that being a little bit shorter, it takes a little bit of the advantage off this top group. One that we can kind of take away from that, maybe Cantlay, but he didn't play great last week. Played good, just not. I mean, let's be honest. U.S. Open, that U.S. Open course, you had to have a lot of things go right and play well, right? And it seems like Cantlay would played pretty solidly, but just nothing really went right for him. And I'm not saying he played great, but
seemed like a nice kind of baby step performance for Cantlay, who needed a decent result in a major and got it last week with the T14, I believe, at Brookline.
Yes. So this group right here, just because of that distance factor, not really going to play a huge factor this week. I don't think there's any really major use to get way up here in the top heavy, but I might be willing to splash around a little Cantlay at 10-2, Joe here. And I mean, probably could see this guy easily finish way up in the top 20 pretty easily. Hadn't even looked at those odds yet, and I'm sure they're not great, but I like Cantlay at this price, 10-2. I don't care to pay that. But, and then the JT also like that number, or I like him a lot more than maybe he's a little bit more tactician than say a Rory or Scheffler, even though Scheffler's dude's amazing. I mean, what he has done in the last 6 months, it's like he's there for whatever reason. And, take away those 6 holes on Saturday, he wins by 5 shots. So, 10K and above, I really don't know where to go. If you had a made me pick one, I would just go Cantlay with the value probably there at 10-2. What do you think, Joe, in these top guys?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know that you need to go up here this week, but you certainly kind of want to. And you mentioned Patrick Cantlay. I think he's a really strong option, and we've kind of seen AP. I mean, this feels like his comfort zone, right? I mean, the Travelers, Pebble Beach, Phoenix. I mean, the FedEx Cup playoffs. This feels like Cantlay's comfort zone, where we can see him thrive, and he's played really well in this event. Top 15 finishes here each of the last 4 years. Shot 60 as an amateur on this golf course, I believe back in 2014, several years ago, when he was still at UCLA. Played this event, shot around a 60. So locks the place, and I feel like this is the type of win I could see on his resume, if that makes any sense. And he is coming in good form. Played well at the Memorial. Had a solid week last week. Not a lot of TV time, but pretty solid result. So I think there's a lot to like about Patrick Cantlay this week if you want to save a little money off a Rory or a JT. Speaking of those two, excellent choices. They've both been playing great golf. You do kind of wonder where their mindset is coming out of the year's third major championship. Rory's played a lot of golf, a lot of consecutive weeks, a lot of emotional golf, one up in Canada, then was in the thick of things last week before kind of falling off. So, you have to kind of wonder where Rory is mentally. JT is just always a great play, man. The same can be said of Scotty Scheffler, who just continues to put himself right in the mix. It's seemingly every single week. Doesn't have great course history here, speaking of Scheffler, but I think when you dig in a little bit, he shot 69, 65 here last year and then just kind of had a rough weekend and really dropped down the leaderboard. So I think it's, certainly possible that he comes out and plays really well this week. And a guy that's sticking out to me, man, that we could probably grab at the lowest ownership above 10K is Sam Burns. This dude is just in absolute beast mode. He's improved every start of his career that he's made at the Travelers. So he's finding his way on this golf course. We know he bombs it. We know he puts really well. But the thing that kind of takes his game to the next level is when those irons are firing, and they are right now. Continues to gain strokes on approach in every start. And that keeps improving over the last few months. So I'm circling Sam Burns up here along with Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, I left this part out of the Trail of Tears that we talked about at the U.S. Open, but the 376s on Sunday also got me. I believe it was the Sam Burns, Brian Harmon, and somebody else shot 76. Just dagger to the heart in a lot of ways for AP. But he is. But I definitely feel like par 5 scoring is a big advantage for him, and we're not going to get some of that this week. So that'd be my only negative or reason why I would steer away. But yes, there's no reason that we can actually verbally say that we should be playing Cantlay over Burns, right? Ever? I mean, can you make that argument right now? Is it possible?
Maybe when you're talking about long-term consistency, maybe you can make that argument. But we're talking about in a small recent window, probably not.
Yeah.
But there again, I'll circle back around to Cantlay's had a chance to really win. 3 golf tournaments this year? Lost the playoff at Hilton Head, lost the playoff at Phoenix, was in the mix at Pebble. So, I mean, a couple bounces go differently for Cantlay. We're talking about a guy that's won, 2 or 3 times this year. So, I think it's easy to get down on Cantlay because of kind of how he's laid down in the majors for the most part up until last week. But at the end of the day, taking kind of the 30,000-foot view, Cantlay is obviously a very solid player, and this course sets up well for him.
Yeah, so let's move on to 9K range. Varner, Power, Fleetwood, Koepka, Keegan, Finau, Joaquin, Sanjay, Jordan. You could probably make an argument for everybody in the 9K range at some point, maybe besides Koepka, to be honest. So, I mean, you got to love Jordan Spieth here, former champion, 9,900. Got to love it. Didn't play terrible last week. Didn't play very good. Had a little illness issue on most of the day or all Thursday and some of the day Friday, honestly. So I see him doing good things this week, even though it's a strong field. It doesn't matter. You get him on a little short course where he's got to make dicey decisions, and he's a scrapper. Let's be honest, Joe.
Former champion here.
Yeah,
former winner of this event. Yeah, really
love
tough.
Love him. Not really sure where I would go after that. You can make an argument for Sanjay, pretty strong argument. You can make an argument for Neiman, pretty strong argument. Fleetwood, but every time I feel like we make an argument for Fleetwood, we just get shot in the foot. So I'm probably staying away. Varner might be the second. He might be my 1B in this group. Seems to play Pete Dye courses very well. Didn't like what I saw from him at the Canadian. I believe it was the Canadian Open in the final in the last rounds. Obviously, did play great last week. Definitely, after hindsight, the U.S. Open setup was not great for his game. You kind of needed to be pretty accurate off the tee, and that's not necessarily a really good strength of his. So I do like him here, though. I do like him here. So Sanjay or Varner, Neiman, Sanjay, Spieth, and then my 1A is definitely Spieth in this range.
Yeah, I like Jordan the best. Probably, I guess. Really drawn to Neiman this week. Been on him here recently. Had a lot of exposure to him at the Memorial, and he played really, really well. He's just been super consistent, man. And I think he likes this golf course. Had a top 5 here back in 2019, T36 last year. He's just been doing a lot of things really well. Nothing spectacular, but I'm probably drawn to Neiman more than anyone here in the 9K range. Almost with Spieth, I would almost rather just get up to a Cantlay Burns or even a JT Rory Scheffler, for that matter, with Spieth at 9,900. So there's a little bit of savings there by dropping down to Joaquin. We're living in a world where Keegan Bradley's $9,400 AP, and while he's had some really nice results lately and some nice results on this golf course, runner up here back in 2019, T8 back in 2017, a couple of those finishes. I just don't know that I can get there with a $9,400 Keegan coming off a great week where he's probably going to actually draw a little bit of ownership at this number. And I just don't know that it's for me. So Seamus Power probably deserves a mention. Has played some very solid golf. Had a T19 at this golf course last year. Just kind of continues to surprise us, by kind of being there on a regular basis. So Spieth, Neiman, Seamus Power for me in this range.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, Power seems just to be continuously play well week in, week out. So 8,900, we got to feel like several guys in this at the top of the 8K range are going to be popular. And we'll just start with Davis Riley, Aaron Wise, Mito Pereira, Harmon, Simpson. Those guys got to be super popular. And then, you still got Leishman and McCarthy played great in the U.S. Open. Excellent. And you got Mitchell, J-Day, and Kokrak. I feel like Kokrak is just disappearing off into the abyss. J-Day is too irregular. Sorry, Spencer. But those top 5 guys here in the 8K range, you're going to have to get out the magnifying glass and figure out which one of these, maybe 2 or 3 of these 5 you're going to roster and probably go pretty overweight on them. I think they're going to see a lot of ownership. I mean, Brian Harmon obviously shot a 151 on the weekend on the U.S. Open, was right there. Did not play great. A lot of things didn't go right for him. So I really don't know where to go here in the upper 8K range. It's so strong.
Some great course history, man, with Brian Harmon this week. I think a lot of people are probably going to get there. 3 top 8s in his last 4 Traveler starts. We know he's one of those guys, man. We talk about a lot on this show. He's one of those guys when it's a shorter golf course, we're kind of circling him. It's kind of like their Super Bowl for a lot of these guys. And Harmon's one of those guys, and he's been able to take advantage of the relatively short layout here with really good Travelers finishes, and he's shown some really nice form. Played well, was right in the thick of things until you mentioned the weekend that kind of took him out of contention at Brookline. But yeah, man, like Harmon, from kind of a cash game, single entry perspective, I don't know that I love going there in GPPs. with the expected ownership, which I think will be pretty high. I absolutely love Davis Riley. The guy's irons are on fire, which is something I'm looking for this week. He can make birdies in bunches, something I'm looking for this week. First in this field in strokes gained approach AP over the last 12 rounds is Davis Riley, which is pretty impressive when you consider some of the players that are in this field. This young guy's just uber talented, man. I think he's kind of in that Sam Burns, Willie Z mold. I think he's a superstar, kind of on the rise. So I'll stay on the train here at 8,900 with Davis Riley. He's by far my favorite play in this price range. I really love Mito. I don't know that this course really suits his skill set as well as some other ones we've seen lately. But I do like the form. Denny McCarthy's been playing excellent golf. The course history here is not good, which is kind of concerning, kind of mixed signals on that. So, I love Davis Riley. If I want to save a little bit in this range, I want to get back on the web train. Tried to last week with some GPP stuff with him. Looked really sharp in the first round, then kind of let it go a little bit in the second round. So Leishman showed a little bit of form, and he's a former winner here. Had a third place finish here last year. So, maybe this is a spot where you can jump back on a Mark Leishman. But outside of Davis Riley, I don't know that I love anyone in GPPs here.
Got you. Let's move on down here to the 7K range, Joe. There's 3 players in the 7K range I'll talk about, but obviously there's a ton of people in this range. I'm going to talk about, they're probably going to get a lot of pub. Brendan Todd, this golf course sets up perfect for him, let's be honest. He's ranks pretty high in a lot of things that need to be graded for this course. Maverick McNeely, we know where his iron play game is. We get a shorter golf course, he's always going to be discussed. However, stronger fields kind of concern us, right, whenever he's playing. And an obvious pick would be Siwoo Kim. However, really has not played great at all since the Masters. That would be my only concern with that. But those are 3 guys that I really do like. And if Kisner gets hot with the putter here, because, he's decently strong with his iron game no matter what. Not great, but, good. He's solid. And if he can get to that putter gets a little streaky, he can make some noise. Mackenzie Hughes always had a pretty good history here at this tournament. Not necessarily great history, but pretty consistent. So he's down at 7,400. Might take a gander at him. Other than that, I don't really know who to talk about in this range. A lot of long ball hitters. You got a couple former champions down here at the bottom of 7K range. This range is kind of hard for me this week, Joe.
Yeah.
Nothing really pointing out for me.
It feels spotty, man. I really like Brendan Steele. I think he's going to be a pretty popular option. Really good course history. He's made the cut in 8 of 11 career starts on this golf course, and every time he's made the cut, all 8 times of those 11 AP, he's had a top 25. So coming in off a couple of really good outings, had top 10s at the PGA and Memorial. So a really nice blend of course history, current form, and a reasonable price tag there at 7,700 with Brendan Steele. So I really like him. You mentioned Mav. The form hasn't been great. And this is a little bit tougher field, but this is his top of track. Had a T30 here in his course debut last year. So I don't mind giving Mav a look. Joel Damon coming off a huge performance at the U.S. Open and had a T20 here back in 2020. This is a shorter golf course, the type that he can handle. So kind of want to give Joel Damon a look. I don't know where he'll be after that run last week. I don't know if he's going to kind of chill. Going to kind of try to take the momentum and run with it. I think that's an interesting question mark with Damon there. So I'll probably kind of keep an eye on ownership. You mentioned Mackenzie Hughes. I had him circled as well. Showing a little bit of form. Made several cuts in a row here at the Travelers. Had a T3 here back in 2020. So I don't mind giving Mackenzie Hughes a look at this price. Kevin Strillman has really good course history. The form hasn't been great. Ches Reavie, former winner here. We know this is a type of track where we like to play him, sub 7,000 yard golf course. Has had a couple top 15s as of late. We know Ches is always hit or miss, but if I want to give him a look, this is the type of spot where I'm going to do it. Want to bring up Nick Hardy, a guy I've talked about a lot on this show over the last few months. Has played some really big time golf last week. Great outing at the U.S. Open. Played well up in Canada, and has played this event before. Made the cut. Had a T61 back in 2018. And like Adam Long, a couple top 25s in this event in his career. So he likes the golf course. Looked good at Memorial. We've seen some nice outings from him. So they're kind of rounding out the 7Ks. Nick Hardy, Adam Long, also like Alex Smalley, a guy who played really well in Canada, had a tough final round, but I like his talent. So I think there's some places you could go. Doesn't feel like there's anywhere I'm going to be all in the 7Ks, though, outside of maybe Brendan Steele.
Yeah. Like I said already, that 7K is a little too tough to put your finger on. Consistency is a big question mark here. And really going to be tough to find value, I think, this week in the 7K range. Moving on down to 6K range, former champion right at the top of the list, Russell Knox. EVR apparently came down with a little illness. Stallings, Willett, that really top of the 6K range, 6,900. You can probably stand a roster of most of those guys. It's if in the GBP area. Moving on down through here, a ton of talent down in the 6K range this week, but a lot like the 7K range, you're not going to get much consistency. I think I saw something just a minute ago. Let me double check this before I stick my foot in my mouth. Obviously Zach Johnson's had a ton of success here, but don't really like him. Okay. Yeah. Hank Libiota played pretty decent last week, right?
Not sure. Didn't see anything about him last week.
Kramer. It was Kramer, wasn't it? No, it might be Libiota. Let me double check.
Adam Shank had a pretty good week last week. I think a top 25. Yeah. Pretty impressive U.S. Open. You mentioned EVR. He withdrew. I really like the guy that grabbed his spot. That's Bo Hostler, another guy that had a pretty good week at the U.S. Open last week.
Yeah.
This short golf course he can handle. It's the type of track I want to target him. He had a runner-up here in 2018, had a top 10 here last year, and he's playing pretty good golf. I mean, you never want to put all your chips in the middle on Bo, but in the sixes this week, with what we got out there, I like taking a stab with Hostler. A couple of really good ball strikers in Adam Svensson and Austin Smotherman, guys we've talked about quite a bit over the course of the year, and guys I don't mind this week in the 6K range. Wyndham Clark's always a really hit or miss guy. Just to kind of illustrate that, his last 4 starts in this tournament, he's got 3 miscuts and a T15. So we know when things are going well, they usually go really well. And when things are going bad, they usually go really bad for Wyndham Clark. But, there are certainly worse GPP dart throws out there at $6,700 than Clark this week. So, I don't know that there's a guy you hang your hat on down here, but there's certainly guys that I'll have some exposure to in the 6K range this week, AP.
Yeah. It was Hayden Buckley. That was the one he was in the final group or next last group on Saturday. That's the one I was thinking of. But yeah, that all those guys at 6,900, maybe excluding Piercy, I think it's okay to splash around Russell Knox, Stallings, Willett, Laird, Hostler. That's a pretty strong in the 6K range on a Pete Dye track.
Matthew Wolff actually in this field.
Unfortunately, I believe
68.
So. Yeah, you want to basically just take that name and put a big old black pin through it. Don't even think it's there. Kazire can play well on the course like this.
You know what, man? I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Matthew Wolff should go to live. I think it'd be. I'm serious. I think it'd be really good for him. Less pressure, less events.
Yeah.
maybe he can find something, play well in the majors. I think he's actually one of those guys, weirdly enough, that probably should go to live.
Yeah.
Get guaranteed paycheck, just cash that money in. You don't have to worry about much. I mean, I pull for the guy. I want to see him do well, and I think maybe mentally it might be better for him to play over there.
Gotcha, Matthew Wolf. Yeah, laid back, like an exhibition almost, and not sure what these course steps are going to be like. Yeah, actually, a ton of talent down here in the 6K range. Honestly, I mean, Jonas Blix. Jonas Blix played great at Blix played great at the RBC. Hadn't heard that guy's name in forever. He's only made 3 cuts out of 15 this year. We do got another. I think this might be the final start for Morgan Hoffman's medical exemption. We know why he picked the 3 starts that he picked now. Obviously, golf courses that fit his game great.
Very short. Harbor Town here. What was the other one? Colonial, maybe?
Colonial in here, yep. That's the 3 he had. So a lot of talent down here in the 6s. A lot to like, honestly. Even though
shout out to Patrick. I don't want to say his name wrong. I don't know if it's Patrick Flavin or Flavin down there at 6K. The dude is money qualified into 5 PGA Tour events this year. That is just crazy. That's crazy good, crazy grinding. So shout out to him down there at 6K. Probably not a guy I'm on a roster, but a guy that I'm very impressed with. That's a pretty remarkable feat.
Made a cut at the Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Punta Cana. All 3 of those. Made the cut all 3 of those. Missed the cut at the Mexico Open, the AT&T, and the Canadian. I played awful at the Canadian. 151. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Real impressive, actually.
Yeah, that's a underrated, awesome feat to Monday Q into 5 events in a year.
That's right, Joe. So all this going in the 6K range. We're gonna throw a big time dart out here in the 6K.
I think you can, man. Chris Gotterup's a guy we didn't mention there at 6,400. Young kid coming on. A lot of people like his game. I'm going Bo, man. Bo knows TPC River Highlands. I'll go Bo Hostler as my dart this week.
Well, if Bo Hostler wins or finishes in the top 10 this week, if Bo Hostler finishes in the top 10, mark my words, Joe, in 4 rounds, he will have under 100 putts. He'll have 23 putts to throw, because if you've seen him whenever he shoots 10 under after 3 days, he's literally like 1 putt at every green. It's pretty wild to see, honestly.
His game logs, I'm not looking at them right now, but I'm sure his game logs, if you go back and just look at his results this year blindly, they're not going to reflect how many times he's actually sneaky been in contention, because he seems to always play bad in the final round when he's in contention. So that tells you probably what you need to know about my dart this week. But he's been in sneaky contention this week or this year. His game logs probably aren't going to reflect.
I think just from watching it alone, just because I know I sweated these Sundays down, he was in the final. He was in the final group of the Valero with Stallings, and he was in the next last group at the Schwab with Stallings. I'm pretty sure.
Had a chance at Pebble as well, right there at Pebble, right in the mix with a chance to win. Had a chance to win Valero to go to the Masters. I think he was there, Colonial. So, give me Bo Hostler.
Bo Hostler for 300. I'm gonna come back with not really it's really isn't that big of a dart, but I want to say just dab a little something on Brendan Todd. I feel like first round leader, top 10, top 20. You're probably gonna get decent odds on that, and winner. You're gonna get decent odds on that. That's my dart for the week. 700 in DFS, but it's not too deep. But I just think he just makes a lot of sense here, Joe. Even though this field's pretty strong, that he's not scared.
It feels like pretty sure this event feels like he was right there. in this event a couple years ago, and DJ kind of blew him out of the water on Sunday. He had maybe a couple really bad holes. I think Brendan Todd had a legit chance to win this thing a couple of years ago, if I'm remembering right. Let's see, he finished T11.
Yeah, T11. That could have been.
But I think he was. Yeah, I think he was right there this year, DJ, when DJ went on that run a couple of years ago. But yeah, good call. I like it. This type of golf course that he can compete on with his length. So good call there.
Yeah. So where's your heart at this week, Joe?
I like a couple guys, man. I really like Davis Riley. I'm content to stay on that train. I like Neiman. But I like Sam Burns as well. So I got a lot of heart plays this week. I think Sam Burns could win this event. So I'll go Burns.
Sam Burns. Okay. Brendan Todd, 2020, loses by 6 shots. Shoots 5 over on the back 9 of Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, I knew he was right there.
Lost by 8 shots. So he shoots 11 under. 13 under. Yeah, lost by 6. DJ was 19. Todd was 13. Shot 40 on the back 9. 5 over. Finishes 11th.
A lot closer than
had the lead standing on 10T.
Yeah.
Had the lead standing on 10T. Looks like. So, I knew Stallings had finished up there one year, and it was that year as well, 2020. So, my heart this week. This is the tournament.
A lot of good players in this field.
This is the tournament where Jordan holed from the bunker in the playoff and they did the chest bump. This was in Travelers, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with that then. I think Patrick Cantlay wins this.
I can see it.
I mean, I watched, with the coverage, was you had to find it last week, but they showed a lot of golf if you found where it was. And
God,
now, we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, let me say I got to see a lot of Patrick Cantlay.
Don't even get me started.
Because he played like one of the first groups on Saturday, I think. So I got to see him play like 3 or 4 holes, and it was like he's there. It's just got to make some putts.
Did you watch 2 holes on Peacock and then I watched 2 holes on USA and 3 holes on the Golf Channel?
Yeah, 9 to 11 it was there. Then it switched over, and I think it was on. What was crazy too is not only that, Joe, was that they would, while you're watching NBC for 6 or 8 hours, they're like, okay, this crew's going to take a little break now, and then incoming Azinger and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's just way too complicated.
Azinger's so horrible this weekend.
Yeah, he's pretty opinionated, but he's the 22nd or the 21st century Johnny Miller. That's what it is. So anyway, yeah, I'm going with Cantlay. You got Burns. I like both of them, honestly. So
yeah,
maybe dab a little couple in there. So anyway, Joe, thank you, Rotoballer.com, for everything you do. Joe, always a pleasure. We're in the home stretch here, folks. About 8 more weeks to go, I think, or 9 weeks to go, something like that. 8 or 9 weeks. Can't wait for, honestly, cannot wait for the Open Championship, St. Andrews. Cannot wait for that. We still have exciting tournaments that we like to cover coming up in the closing months. Exciting DFS, exciting. It's going to be exciting showdown events because you got golf courses that are fun to watch on TV. Closing holes are fun to watch coming up. So we got a lot left here in these 8 weeks. Joe Nicely, thank you again. I'm Andrew Putter.
Thanks, AP.
Thank you, Rotoballer.com. This is the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast.